In this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast, we are going to talk about the 2025 Jordan Brand Classic, and our very own Krysten Peek was in attendance, and she is going to let us know who stood out, who shined, and which players we need to continue to watch out for the 2026 NBA Draft. Big shout out to each and every person that has made the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast your first listen of the day. I am your host, Rafael Barlowe, along with my co-host, Krysten Peek. And this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So check it out at FanDuel.com. Also, want to mention the Locked On newsletter. Check it out at LockedOnDaily.com. It is your one-stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox every single day. So whether your team is in the playoffs, we just watched a really good playoff game between the New York Knicks and the Detroit Pistons. I'm a big fan of what they're doing in Detroit. We'll talk about that at another time. So whether your team is in the playoffs or your team is preparing for the 2025 NBA Draft, check it out, LockedOnDaily.com. And if you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please subscribe, like, share, comment, click the bell so you can be notified every time we drop an episode. I say it again, I have this ambitious goal of dropping 2 podcasts a day. I don't know how sustainable it is, how long it's going to be, but I am going to drop a lot of content because I have a lot of stuff to get off my chest. And then there's a bunch of events like the 2025 Jordan Brand Classic that Krysten was at. I haven't been to the Jordan Brand Classic since, I had to think about this, since the Jason Tatum, I think De'Aaron Fox. It's been that long.
De'Aaron, what was so funny, I had a weird flashback memory because I was at that one too in Brooklyn, and De'Aaron Fox and Bam Adebayo were co-MVPs, and Carmelo Anthony was there. Like, his kid wasn't even playing, like, he was there.
Yep.
Watching and supporting these players. He presented the MVP trophy. And so, just to see Carmelo, obviously he was there. Kiyan was playing. Kiyan was actually named the MVP. It was a really cool moment. But seeing him there, like, that dude is a hoop head. Carmelo Anthony is all about basketball. He showed up to the girls' game and he sat right next to the table because I did the broadcast. And so he was sitting courtside right next to the broadcasting table for the girls' game. And I was like, okay. So I tap him on the shoulder. I was like, Melo, do you want a roster? And he goes, KP, I know who these girls are. And I'm like, okay, great. And he like was engaged in the game. He was like bringing some girls over, giving them some advice and everything. Like he is, I'm going to miss him as a basketball dad for sure at the high school level.
Melo's going to stay connected to the game.
Yeah, he's got his EYBL team. Yeah, absolutely.
I've had some brief interactions with him, and he's one of those guys that you're surprised how much he remembers. Like, he remembers people. He speaks to everybody. He's just a guy that is good for the culture. And I know, like, there's this divide between former players and current players and generations. I love what Melo's doing. He's not the person that is bashing the new group of players. And I think part of it is because he has a son. And when you have a son, you're kind of around the game a little bit more. You have a better understanding of the cultural gap. But let's talk about this game. It was a really good game. And we'll start off with Kiyan Anthony. First of all, do you feel like he should have been in the McDonald's game? I know that was a big topic of him being snubbed in New York. Melo talked about it on his podcast. I'm sure he would have loved to play in Brooklyn, but had a chance to play at the Jordan Brand Classic in D.C. And I thought he silenced some of the critics that said that he's just there because he's, the pressure that comes with being Carmelo's son.
First, your first question, should he have been a McDonald's All-American? Absolutely. I'm so sick of these rules. I'm so sick of these. We saw it last year with Mount Verde Academy where they limited, you can only have 3 McDonald's All-American on every roster. But we're starting to see, because of NIL, these super teams form even at the high school level. And so I think it's time to change. And so you look at Kiyan Anthony. Yes, he had his back injury, when he took a hard fall. Like, if it wasn't just Rafael, like, we've seen players go up and they get undercut and they take a hard fall straight on their backside, and they struggle getting up. He took a very, very hard fall, and he took his time coming back. He didn't return until January. And because he missed so many high school games, he was quote unquote uneligible for the McDonald's All-American game. But what he did when he did come back, he still impacted the whole team. This wasn't a load management situation. He was seriously hurt. And so when he came back, they almost won the EYBL playoffs. They won the throne in the postseason in Atlanta, which was a crazy talented tournament. There was so much talent in that tournament before Geico's. And he led the team. Like he led the team in the championship game for the throne. And so I do think there needs to be some rule changes to McDonald's, but not to discredit what he did. First of all, 10 days ago at Nike Hoop Summit, where he was playing for the World Select team, and what he did during the practices and scrimmages there. Obviously, he was representing Puerto Rico, which his parents, Carmelo and Lala, both have ties to Puerto Rico. And then to come up or to go to Washington, D.C., and I talked to him before the game, and I was like, Kiyan, is this going to be one of those games where you guys, there's no one's playing defense, you're just going to coast, there's going to be dunks and just like 3-point shots? And he's like, oh, no. First half, yeah, that's going to be what that is. Second half, it's all business. And to his credit, so they were down. Team Air, that's the team that he was on. It was Team Flight and Team Air for Jordan Brand. Team Flight was up 20 points. And they came back in the second half, and it was Kiyan Anthony. He was hitting step back threes over Krysten Peek. He was getting to the rim. He only had 4 points in the first half. He finished with 26 points and 5 rebounds. And it wasn't just him. I mean, Caleb Wilson was the only player in double digits for their team, Team Air, in the first half. And he had 20 points in the first half. He ended up finishing with 28 points. Of course, Caleb Wilson going to North Carolina. But just to see them kind of chip away, I know it was an all-star game, but to see them chip away and really come back and win, in a commanding fashion was really fun to watch. And especially for this group. I'm going to miss this high school group. I say it all the time. There's the talent is just so ridiculous.
Yeah, it's definitely a loaded class. But he had 26 points. When I saw the box score, it wasn't like an inefficient 26. It was like on 11 of 15 shooting. And I think that because of who he is, because of his dad, you know the name, you know the game, but you don't really hear a lot about him as an NBA prospect. You just know him as Carmelo's son. I do think that the way that Melo and Lala have handled him, I think that has been phenomenal. They're not putting a lot of pressure on him. He's going to, at least it appears, to be able to just kind of run his own race. I like that, but he's getting better and better every year. All right, let's talk about Caleb Wilson, North Carolina commit. I did a podcast on him a few months back when he committed, and it was such a big deal for the North Carolina fan base. They are really excited about this kid. Tell me why.
As they should be. Caleb Wilson is such a lob threat. He's so athletic. I mean, and they didn't practice at all, the Jordan Brand, but I went to shoot around the day of. And so they split it up, bigs on one side, guards on the other. And they were doing just different, ISO situations. And Caleb is just so athletic. I mean, he took a dribble and then windmilled it, and you see Nate Ament and Cameron Boozer and Jaden Toombs just laughing because it's just so easy. It's so easy for Caleb. And Caleb said, he's like, I want to put on a show tonight. I want North Carolina fans to be excited about what's coming and know that, like, I'm taking this seriously. And so when you look at, the relationship between Caleb Wilson, Cameron Boozer, Caden Boozer, and Alex Lloyd, all played for Knight Riders Elite. Like, that to me by itself is just crazy to know that amount of talent was on one AAU team that went 3 in a row that we'll probably never see again. Rafael, I mean, it's going to take someone really special to go 3 and out in Nike Peach Jam at the 15, 16, and 17U level. But he told me, he said, yeah, me and Cam, we're cool now, but I'm sorry, we talk shit all the time. Like, I don't know if I can curse. I don't know if but that's basically what he said. And he's like, we welcome the competition. I welcome the competition. I want to play the best. And I know going to North Carolina, playing in the ACC, playing Duke twice a year and what they're bringing in is going to make me a better player. But you want to talk about someone that has gotten better and better with time. Caleb Wilson. I mean, remember at Hoop Hall, what he was doing at Hoop Hall was unbelievable. Like, this kid is just scratching the surface of what his pro potential can be. And I'm hoping North Carolina kind of gets a little taste of that, next year as a freshman, as an impactful freshman.
Well, they have a reason to be excited based off of his play. He was 13 of 14 from the floor with 28 points and also a bounce back. I thought that he had a very, very quiet McDonald's All-American game, but he bounced back in a major way. All right, up next, we're going to talk about the headliner for this class. Well, depending on how you feel, but the most touted prospect in the 2025 high school class, which is AJ Dybantsa. So Krysten is going to share her thoughts on AJ's performance. I think this is is this it for AJ?
It's his final high school game. Yes.
Final high school. It seems like it's been the longest high school basketball season ever for AJ. So we're going to hear Krysten's thoughts on AJ Dybantsa. The NBA playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you get $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. I love how FanDuel is making betting easy, whether it is picking your favorite team or even diving into player props. You can choose from three-pointers to steals to assists to blocks. And FanDuel has so many ways to bet on your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same game parlay for a chance to win big. So do not miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Again, FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. All you have to do is place your first $5 bet and you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Again, FanDuel.com. All right, second segment. AJ Dybantsa, the projected number one pick of the 2026 NBA draft. Depending on who you talk to, some say it's Darren Peterson, some say it is Cameron Boozer, but AJ is a player that we have covered at length on this podcast. What were your overall thoughts? Was it one of those situations where he dominated and he looked a little bored? I mean, you hear so much chatter about AJ right now.
Okay. There was a moment in the first half, in the half court set, where he got switched off and Cam Boozer was guarding him. And AJ Dybantsa nutmegged Cameron Boozer, went through his legs and then finished at the rim. And like that was that's personal. That was personal. And so, and what he was doing, like the entire game, the first half, he owned the first half. It was him and Darius Acuff that like just completely controlled the first half. He finished with 25 points. His 3-point shooting looks so much better. And what he can do in the mid-range and the way he elevates at 6'9" and his shot creation off that in the mid-range, like if he can get more consistent from behind the arc, he's going to be the number one pick in 2026. I'm sorry. There's just no way with his length, upside, his defensive versatility, his two-way player projection. I mean, any NBA team, especially if it's one of the 3 teams, one of the 4 teams that are going to be at the top of this year's draft and not have a turnaround that we've seen from the Detroit Pistons, with Cade Cunningham, they're going to want to add a secondary piece to either Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, or VJ Edgecombe. And so he is going to be, yes, Darren Peterson and Cameron Boozer, Nate Ament, great players. But AJ, there were moments in this game where I think he realized, this is my very last high school game. I am going to show what I'm about. And we saw moments of that. And it was just like, I don't even know what to say anymore. He was fantastic.
Let's talk about the play you described. I saw it on social media. And the first thing I thought was, you know what? That's personal. Like, I know that there's a, friendly rivalry, but that was like, yeah, it's an all-star game. I'm the number one dog in this class. They're saying that, you could challenge me. Yes, you've beat me, as far as the team thing, but I got you on this island and I'm here to embarrass you in the most embarrassing way other than like dunking on them. When you saw that, like, what was the first thing that came to your mind?
I was on the Brock. I was calling the game, and I said, because the play-by-play Megan McPhee, she's just like, oh, and AJ Dybantsa threads the needle through the legs of Cameron Boozer. I was like, no, that was a nutmeg. That was not just like that. That was personal. Trying to put on a show, but yeah, it was. I don't know. I love these games, and I love when players compete. I knew putting AJ on one side and Cam and Nate Ament on the other, there was going to be that competition. And I loved seeing Meleek Thomas and Darius Acuff in the same backcourt. I thought that was a fun little tandem, giving Arkansas fans a glimpse of what's to come next year. So all in all, I mean, like this, you can say a lot of things about these high school end of the year all-star games, but when you're looking at talent evaluation, I thought, all three games that we saw, from McDonald's to Hoop Summit to Jordan Brand to cap it off, were really well played.
All right, a little bit off the subject, but on subject. Where do you rate this class? Like, is this your favorite class?
No, the 2020 high school class, that was Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, Evan Mobley, those kids. They were my favorite in terms of high school class. But the talent-wise and what this class possesses, I mean, they are definitely up there for sure. And imagine if Cooper had stayed and Jeremiah Fears, it would, I mean, when we're looking at this age group and what we've seen when they were freshmen and sophomore, I mean, yeah, they might eclipse that 2020 class for sure.
All right, let's talk about Cameron Boozer. Some people think he's a projected number one pick, or they believe he should be the number one pick. You can make a case and say he's the most dominant, at least in recent era, as far as just championships and overall resume. What did you think about his overall performance? Was it just a typical Cameron Boozer performance where you're like,
it wasn't. No, he only had 4 points. No, I'm sorry. Excuse me. He had 10 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. It was Caden who had 4 points and 3 assists. It was very quiet. And that's nothing against Cameron. And it was funny when they started to make that comeback in the game. You would think it would have been Cameron and Caden Boozer on the court, but it was Tounde Yessoufou, it was Caleb Wilson, and it was Kiyan Anthony that really led that charge in the second half to bring them back into striking distance and then eventually take the lead. And then once they had the lead, Cameron came back in and he does what Cameron Boozer does, and he just makes the right play on both ends of the court every single time. But it was an off night for Cameron and Caden both. But these all-star games are so tough. There's only so many offensive possessions. There's only so many offensive touches. And it just goes to show his unselfishness, I guess. If your shot isn't falling, it's not like he wasn't taking shots, but he understood that other people had the hot hand and he was finding them the ball instead. So not like a crazy 20 and 12 that we're used to seeing from Cameron Boozer, but still, like a hell of a high school career. I said that to him at the end of the game. And I said, there's nobody who has had the body of work at the high school level than Cameron and Caden Boozer. 4 state championships, 3 Peach Jam titles, 2 gold medals, and a national championship your senior year, the Geico Nationals. Take a bow, bro. It's so impressive. And that's what's the most appealing, I think, to NBA teams, especially, you look at what AJ and Darren, what they project at the NBA level, but let's look at this. Say you are still a rebuilding team and you get Dylan Harper or VJ Edgecombe. What is the perfect pairing next to him in next year's draft to kind of be that cornerstone tandem in a rebuild? I think Cameron Boozer fits a lot more of those boxes, checks a lot more of those boxes as a complete player than Darren and AJ do, because you don't want that power struggle with ball dominant players.
Yeah, that's definitely a factor. I just think that next year you're going to see some NBA teams give some guys the keys to the offense because they know that this guy is going to generate a lot of losses and he's going to help them.
Correct. Now no, we call that giving young players the experience that they need, Rafael. And if that puts them in the positional favor to get another top player, then so be it. They're trying to get their rookies some experience. There's no tanking. Come on.
Well, I saw somebody made a comment like if they were running the Chicago Bulls, they would let Patrick Williams play 40 minutes per game, let him play point guard, do whatever they need to put themselves in position to get one of the top 3 dogs. All right, let's talk about the Arkansas backcourt, Meleek Thomas and Darius Acuff. Arkansas is interesting. DJ Wagner is coming back. Billy Richmond is coming back. Carter Knox has decided to test the waters, but maintain his eligibility. I think if he does come back, it's going to be a lot of redundancy there, which we've seen from Coach Cal teams. But this backcourt of Meleek Thomas and Darius Acuff, and we had this discussion a few weeks back, who's going to get the keys?
Yep.
With DJ Wagner coming back. I knew he was coming back. But let's talk about Acuff and Meleek Thomas.
Darius Acuff, listen, he is a walking bucket. And what I loved seeing is the two of them in the backcourt together was Meleek Thomas was way more aggressive at the rim. And he was finishing through contact. He had this dunk. I mean, it was the best dunk of the game, just kind of, and it was over. I mean, I can't even remember who it was on, but it was a semi-poster. And so he's going to bring that energy and kind of, he's got a little bit more length than Darius does, but Darius is that player. He's that point guard, that lead guard that just knows how to run things. He knows how to get to his spots. And the shots that he likes, he can manipulate the defender and get a shot off whenever he wants. And so that's what I really love about Darius. And I love that the two of them, that Darius told me, he's like, yeah, we talk or text every day. And so this isn't like 2 5-star guys coming in and they're like, oh, well, I'm going to fight you for my starting spot. I'm going to fight for minutes. We're going to battle. But they genuinely, they like each other. So that's always a good sign,
Yeah.
when you have 2 5-star guards coming into a situation where you're going to have to fight minutes for with older guards that have already been in the Calipari system for a few years.
Ooh, I can't wait. We're going to have to talk about this. I can see this being a discussion that we have for the next 12 months or shorter, just because I am very intrigued about how those pieces fit. All right, let's wrap up with the guy that I feel like has made the most of this all-star circuit. He is a player that, I heard the name. I was familiar with him, but after McDonald's, Hoop Summit, and Jordan Brand, Tounde Yessoufou, he has played well in every game, and it's been the same thing: energy, athleticism, defense. Tell us your thoughts about his performance.
Okay, and not only that, but America is going to love this kid. His personality off the court, like the way he just doesn't back down. He stands on what he firmly believes in. And there was a moment, it probably lasted 10 minutes after the shoot around, where it was him and Braden Burries, who the two of them have had some battles in California, just going head to head at the high school level. And the two of them were just like reminiscing and talking smack about different head-to-head matchups, whether that was Section 7 or, the state playoffs. And then Braden he's like, you guys were supposed to be that guy over there. And he points to Nick Haminia, who plays for Harvard Westlake. And he's like, you couldn't even get the job done to face us. You were ducking smoke. You're ducking smoke. And so they were just going back and forth. And so like his competitiveness is there. Like he knows the game very well. He got off to a slow start. He was very quiet in the first half, but when they were down 20 and, their backs were against the wall, like I said, it was him and Kiyan Anthony that kind of led the charge, and he was getting steals in the backcourt. He hit a three. I mean, before they started hitting threes, him and Kiyan started hitting threes. I think the entire team was 1 for 21 from 3-point range, which is insane. Yeah, it was not a good shooting night. But they hit the shots when they needed to, and he brought that high energy, and I just cannot wait to watch him at Baylor next year.
I feel like he's really improved his draft stock just with the effort.
Yes.
You know what you're getting out of him.
Well, these last 3 games, it's like we've seen the consistency and teams now know who he is.
Yeah. And it's not like he was super under the radar. Obviously, he was good enough to be in this setting and be in these games. But I feel like he just really made strong impressions. Because every game,
he made the most of his time. Yes.
You know what you're getting from him. You're going to get energy, effort. And even in the games where the shot selection was a little spotty, he made up for it with his defense and the fact that he wasn't playing like it was an all-star game. He was playing like he had something to prove. And so I think that he is one of the biggest risers over the last month or so. And you usually don't see guys rise during like the all-star circuit.
And I had asked him, I was like, what is it about these all-star games that you're coming out here with so much energy and you're taking this seriously? And he said to me, he's like, KP, I am never not going to take advantage of an opportunity that's in front of me. I'm never going to coast. If I have an opportunity to play in front of this scout, this GM, I don't even know who's in the gym, but if somebody is giving me that opportunity, I'm never going to take it for granted. And I'm like, okay, I'm rooting for you, kid. I'm here for it.
All right, let's wrap up with this. Nate Ament.
Yes.
He signed with Tennessee.
Yep.
I was shocked. We talked about him multiple times over the past few months. Tennessee was not one of the teams that I remember talking about. I thought it was between Louisville and Duke. And of course, you got the Kentucky and Arkansas in that mix. What were your initial thoughts about him going to Tennessee?
It's so funny because as soon as he picked Tennessee, I remember a conversation that I had with Michael Brown and at Hoop Summit. And I said, where do you think Nate's going? Because they were roommates. And he's like, I have no idea. He won't talk to me about KP. And he's like, but Tennessee, I think, is a dark horse. And I was like, oh, okay. And I didn't even think anything of it. And then once he signed, I was like, did Michael know? Like, did he know? He was just kind of like playing along with Nate. But no, I think it's a great fit in terms of, you look at what Rick Barnes has done at the collegiate level and helping guys get to the league. We saw what he did, helping a very skinny, very high upside guy like Kevin Durant when he was coaching at Texas. So he's gonna be coached hard. And I think he knows that going into Tennessee. Rick Barnes, I've been to practice before, and it's a high stress environment. And so it takes a certain player to play for Rick Barnes. So I'm happy that he found a home there. And I think Rick Barnes is going to do wonders for his development, in this 1 year before he hits the NBA.
It's crazy. I don't know why I didn't even think about this. I've seen the Kevin Durant comparisons.
Yeah.
I just never added 2 and 2 together and realized that Rick Barnes was KD's coach at Texas.
Yep.
That makes sense because I'm like, how did Tennessee come with this late push? It's like they had a full court press, but I imagine if they laid out the blueprint of, hey, I've coached
We've done
Kevin
this
Durant,
before. Yep.
Done this before, similar body types, yada, yada, yada. It makes sense now. It makes a lot of sense now. Well, that wraps up this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast. Once again, thank you for making this your first listen of the day. Check out the Locked On newsletter at lockedondaily.com. Stick with us. We have a bunch of content coming out. I'll see you this weekend.
Yes, Phoenix.
I'll be in Phoenix for the EYBL. So the Locked On NBA Big Board crew, we're going to do some EYBL stuff this year. So looking forward to that. Once again, thank you for making this your first listen of the day. It's Rafael and Krysten Peek, and we are